And why are there donuts everywhere?
Russia did it. Do you want nuclear war? Because this is how you get nuclear war.
Більше сьогодні сталося те, про що ми давно попереджали. Ми говорили про це. Терор не обмежується нашими державними кордонами. Вже поширюється на територію Молдови. А сьогодні російські ракети ударили по Польщі, по території нашої дружньої країни. Загинули люди. Прийміть, будь ласка, співчуття від усіх українських братів. Скільки разів Україна говорила про те, що нашою країною держава-терорист не обмежиться. Бити ракетами по території НАТО. Це російський ракетний удар по...
Let me be clear. This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility as it continues its illegal war against Ukraine.
All right, well, we came surprisingly close to an escalation in the Ukraine-Russia conflict as we saw what happened in Poland. Now, if somehow you were under a rock for the last 24 hours, you might have actually missed out on this entire story because that's how quickly it's evolved. Initially, we saw mainstream media, the corporate press, the legacy media really beating the drums of war in regards to wanting to see an escalation. We saw them trying to put all the blame on Russia in regards to the missile that we saw land in Poland, killing 2. Jumping over just to a handful of the different stories that we saw run, we've got this one from the Times, Russians blamed for fatal strike on Poland. We've got this from the Daily Mirror, Russian bombs hit Poland. The Daily Telegraph, Russian missile strikes Poland. Also this from Daily Express, Russian missiles killed 2 in Poland. Now, one thing I want to explore with you guys is how interesting it was watching the corporate press, the legacy media's narrative around exactly what was playing out in regards to the missile that we saw hit Poland. Russian-made missile fell on our country, killing 2. So again, anyone that's been paying attention to what's actually going on in the Ukraine-Russia conflict understands that actually a lot of Ukrainian arms that haven't been donated recently by NATO members were actually Russian-made. So I can't help but feel like the mainstream media was purposely being a little obtuse in their choosing on how to frame this. Now, one thing I want to say is I'm actually kind of impressed with a lot of our world leaders. Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden. I'm actually, honestly, straight up, I'm impressed that they weren't beating harder on the war drums because we've constantly seen a lot of politicians try and score political points by rushing to the headlines. And in this case, the initial headlines that essentially a Russian missile had hit Poland ends up not being correct. This appears to be a Ukrainian defense missile that accidentally went astray and landed in Poland, unfortunately killing 2 people. But I am actually kind of glad that we're not going to end up in a nuclear war, at least for now.
It's been very clear during this G20 that Russia's brutal war in Ukraine is appalling. After we learned the news of an explosion in Poland near the Ukrainian border, G7 leaders and other NATO allies had an important emergency meeting this morning. We need to remain calm, and that we need to gather the facts and find out exactly what happened with a full investigation.
Really to say whether this missile was fired from Russia?
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia.
Yeah, 2 officials who are familiar with this initial U.S. assessment say this assessment says that the missile did not originate in Russia, but that it originated in Ukraine. And we do know that Ukraine uses Russian-made missiles in its air defense systems. And it does seem as if this is what President Biden was alluding to when he emerged after crisis talks here at the G20 and said that it was unlikely that this missile originated in Russia.